been sold when you feel the enemy's cold hard steel. Feel the dawn of your final day. Feel the fear and go anyway. Get right in that big black plane. Kill your conscience along your brain. But you'll realize you've been sold when you feel the enemy's cold hard steel. Cause the wheels already been rolled when you feel the enemy's cold hard steel. Oh Lord. Do whatever they tell me to. Tell yourself it ain't really you. But when the slaughtering has begun, you'll be murdering someone's son. And you'll realize you've been sold when you feel the enemy's cold hard steel. Cause the wheels already been rolled when you feel the enemy's cold hard steel. Oh Lord. Yes, you'll realize you've been sold when you feel the enemy's cold hard steel. Oh Lord. Cause the wheels already been rolled when you feel the enemy's cold hard steel. Oh Lord. Hey.
Yeah, man, we smashed it. Look, I'm sorry I'm late. I really am. Obviously, I don't want to be late, but I'm not complaining. It's lovely to see you on a Friday. And how lovely is Fridays? I love them so much. They're the inverse of my Sunday night, you know. They drilled that into me at school. I can't get shot of it. Even if, I'll tell you what, it was Bank Holiday Monday in England last week and I didn't know. So I went through all the Sunday melancholia, the maudling of a Sunday, thinking, oh, Monday tomorrow. It's my busiest day of the week. And loads of, it's always the hassle as well. And I still can't get over it. But Friday's wonderful. I mean, like tomorrow's Saturday. Me and my missus have a lovely time on Saturday. We'll go to the mall and we'll get some nice like pastries, and they do this sweet bread, not sweet bread like those things. I went to a flash restaurant once trying to impress this fella actually, like networking, and the menu went round and I was like, I don't know what that is. You know, this was years ago. I still probably wouldn't know. And one of them said sweetbreads, and I don't eat a lot anyway. And I thought it was going to be like raisin bread. You know, you get that bread that's got raisins in it, and you can get bread with like honey in it. I thought that'd be all right. Get a cup of tea and some sweetbreads. One of the other geezers had some kind of bolognese affair. And the bloke I was trying to impress, he knew exactly what he wanted. He even asked for a glass of wine by name and all that lark. And I was like, yeah. Sweetbreads, it turns out, are like these goiters. These horrible little things that animals have here. It was just, imagine steak pie, but take the crust off and you've just got the steak left and the gravy. Take the steak out and put some bollocks in it. That's what it was like. And much to my own disappointment, I went through with it. I couldn't go, what the fuck is this? Which is very unlike me. I was just there going, squeaking while I was eating it. And he went, he said to me, he said, I've never really been a fan of sweetbreads. And then the other fella, who was like a mate of mine, but not a good mate, but he knew the other bloke, that was the link. He went, I don't even know what they are. And as I was eating, the other fella said, I was like, yeah. Excuse me, I'm done with that. Can I have a spotted in custard quickly? No way. There you go. You beat me to it, Picard. It was neck testicles. Essentially what they were. I can't believe Pags has dropped a Lady Godiva. Pags, are you deliberately having keyboard trouble tonight, or are you deliberately having alcohol solutions tonight? I noticed you corrected a few, but it's lovely to get a donation this early on. It really gets me going. Thank you, Pags. Hope you're well, mate. I'll get the grift out of the way quickly. You all know the coup by now anyway. You've got Buy Me a Coffee or Entropy at the top of the YouTube chat. Super chats at the bottom. Whatever you use, you get your bit of glory on the screen. And if you use Buy Me a Coffee, which you can also use by hovering your telephone camera over that, and it will give you a link. That's probably the best one, but up to you. I get a 30-second video to reply, and I do, and they're funny just because they're incompetent. It's not enough time. I'm too knackered, and so it's worth a £5, 50 quid or something. Right, I think that's all that done. I have also got something else. So check this out. Watch if it works. Let's see if it works. Ready, ladies and gentlemen. Picard.
Hello. Oh, get in.
Not bad, though. Watch this, Bagger. Look, when I bang the top of my head. I think they need turning up a little bit. How you feeling about the stream, Packer? I'm a bit like this.
No, I'm not. Looking forward to it.
Right, now I have to say, people, there is a chance that this won't happen. So if you don't already know, Jubilee is a very popular... Why ain't that working? Oh, I'm going to just fuck it off. Sorry, people. I'm just going to get rid of something. Jubilee is a ridiculously popular YouTube channel where they get someone in the middle of the room to sit down, and they put 20 people around them who are sort of opposed to their politics. So as today, it's a black radical against black conservatives. But Jordan Peterson has been in there, and it was something like one atheist against 20 Christians or something like that. It's a really poor setup because they have to rush to see who gets a chair first. But if you're sitting behind the person in the middle, you never get in there faster than the person sitting. I don't know how that. It doesn't seem to make sense to me. I'm just going to put the fan on, watch my background start going like that, and then fall down and reveal the hideous truth. I thought I'd grabbed myself a seat. Oh, I did. I made some cereal, but I forgot to eat it. I'm so hungry. Am I going to get away with eating cereal? No, I'm not. I'm going to have to put it away, though. It'll go stale. Hang on. Pack at all.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, Jubilee video. Looking forward to it. What do you think? Hello, everybody. Ether, hello. Quadrex, hello. Everybody else is here. I've got steaks tonight, just in case you're interested. I'm having 3. Oh, just in case there's any Dave's Waffle House in here, this is my latest winning. He also does this.
That was amazing, Packer. That was more words than... Oh, look, he's got a little... There you go. That's what you're coming for. Thank you, Packer. Appreciate it. Right, so people, this... So yeah, if you don't know that setup, but this has gone kind of viral. Yeah, I mean, it's a very popular show. A couple of million views they get every time. Now, here's where the problem is. They're very protective over their content. Rarely do you get a lot of reactions to them. Now, I'm thinking, excuse me, I might be able to get away with it doing it live. I will have to interrupt it quite a lot, though. If I do get yeeted, the stream will stop for 3 minutes. A message will come up saying this channel has broken copyright rules. But then in 3 minutes it comes back. But then I'll just have to abandon the plan. But I thought it's worth a try, and I'll tell you why. You know, the other stream the other night, we were talking about the techniques of debating. I used the example of Monopoly. Can you still hear me, people? Let me move my mic. If I relax like that, can you still hear me all right? Is that all right? Oh, okay, that's sweet. Like I used the example of Monopoly. Monopoly is not about how many words you know. I mean, it's part of the game, obviously. If you knew no words, you'd be rubbish at it. But it's about technique. That's how you get good at Monopoly, knowing how to play the game rather than knowing a lot of words and all that sort of thing. I'm not saying they're not relevant, but you can have someone an incredible vocabulary, but if they don't know the technique of Monopoly, someone with a vocabulary half as big will beat them. And it's the same with argumentation. And we talked the other day also about letting emotions getting the better of you in a debate. And I said, you know, if you're emotional in a debate, call it. It really empowers you. I don't like that word, but it puts the other person on the back foot. If you feel your emotions getting on top of you, just say, hang on a minute, I'm getting a bit emotional. And I don't like to debate when I'm emotional because I'm being over determined by my emotions. When you say that to someone, they're like, bollocks. Because you come across as being very professional about how you act, you know, and I mean act, you know, acting is to do something. Don't think of the theatre, you know, come on. When you do something, you act. Right. So this, I haven't seen all of it. It's an hour and a half. We won't watch all of it because with me interrupting as well, but we'll do a couple of hours if we can get away with it. And honestly, Amanda Seales is not a very pleasant person. But in terms of argument technique, well, you'll see it. You'll see it. And it's frustrating as hell. Ravenscroft has been on the firm for 59 months. Hoyt to that, Ravens. How are you, mate? I hope you're here. He says, first time I caught a live stream for Yonks. So I thought that. That's why I said I hope you're here, because I hadn't seen you here. Oh, that's interesting. So it only says that when you're here. Okay, that's good to know. Well, I hope you're right. I hope you're all right, Bri. Excuse me, Mr. Pharmacist Angel, do you have any bollocks in stock? We do sell them. It's an apothecary. I ain't no damn pharmacist. I ain't got no time for that. Amanda Seales, right? She's one of these people who she says it about herself. I'm a poet, actress, comedian, filmmaker, activist. You know, she's everything. Just say you're an artist or something. I don't like that. I don't like all that stuff because what is how do you legitimate any of those things? What, you wrote a poem? I mean, that's what you have to do to be a poet. You know, get your iPhone and just go like that, and then you're a filmmaker. You know, it's just that these categories have long gone. They're pointless now, really, unless you are a specialist. Unless you do one. But this is going to drive you mad. Now, as usual with YouTube videos, there's going to be a little bit at the beginning to hook you into what's to come, you know, like the best stroke worst bits of the whole thing. Oh, by the way, if you donate into Entropy or buy me a coffee, let us know in the chat. And usually Picard picks them up, and I won't miss them, and I'll get your moment of glory. Hang on, what's going on with Entropy? Why is that not working? Sorry, people. We have a technical problem. Won't take long to sort out. 5 minutes late. Come on and do the conga. Right, here we go. Nearly there. I didn't really want to hear myself singing that, to be honest. Okay, Bosch. Unrecognized stream provider. What, YouTube? I thought there was something weird about that URL. I hope that hasn't happened to all my links. Did any of you click on a link to get here? Oh no, we're all right. It wasn't. Strangely, it wasn't the software's fault. It was me. Right, now this is going to be frustrating as hell. Let's watch the intro. I might have to interrupt it again. This could just be a wet fart of a stream, because if Jubilee catch it, they're just going to go, no. We make millions out of these videos, and we don't want the likes of you. You know, it's weird. Why wouldn't you want people like me using them? Publicizing it, advertising it. I'm essentially saying they're worth watching, and they are. You know, this isn't gonna. I'm not gonna talk really about their arguments. I'm gonna talk about how she argues, body language, micro expressions, the psychoanalytic kind of approach. And like I say, I haven't watched a lot of it, but what I've watched, it's just it's a well, it's a fountain of just things to look out for in debates. So without further ado, let's crack on with it. Now, I haven't got my cans in. We shouldn't get any echo, but if it's unlistenable, let me know. Right, ready? Brace yourselves, people. Brace. So this is their little intro of like a little montage of best stroke worst bits.
Black culture is toxic. And let's get on the fact that there's no fathers in the black home. Let's talk about that.
Stop.
Who do we vote for?
So that's Amanda Seales. You'd never have guessed.
Radical, not a Democrat. The radical mind state simply is living opposite to our colonizers, which is an...
Oh yeah, she's also a comedian who's been artificially elevated, had a couple of TV shows, a couple of series. You know, it's one of these things. She can do no wrong.
Is she being funny now?
She tries to be, and it's just painful. It's cringe. But she it's really weird, because many people have talked about this and said, you know, she's just got her ass wiped essentially. But the legacy media, that they've talked about it like, whoa, how Amanda Seales tamed a bunch of conservatives without even trying. I mean, the only bit they got right about that was she didn't try. It's quite the performance.
Imperialist, capitalist mind state, and radical blacks do not believe that is any way for us to have liberation. Well, here's what you all keep doing. You keep interrupting me when I'm talking, and you don't...
Right, so she says you keep interrupting me. Watch how many times she interrupts everyone.
I want to hear the point that I'm going to make, and yet you want me to respect your point. And that's not how a debate works. If I show you respect, give me the respect back. Ooh, I knew I was going to be surrounded by ignorance, but damn, let's go. Greetings.
Wow, what an opener. I mean, we were talking the other day about when entering into any kind of debate, don't look to win or lose it. Look to learn, look to find the truth. Because then if you remain humble You cannot be humiliated. If they change your mind, you say, wow, you know, when I've had my mind changed drastically, which has happened thankfully loads of times in my life, what a gift. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And it sort of pulls a rug out of quite a large area of sort of my body of thought. And then I'll say, wow, yeah, I get it. And then I can question them more to get more information and improve my understanding of the world and my understanding of truth. But if you're in it to win it, you're just going to, you know, like social media is in it to win it. No one changes their mind on social media because it's a public performance. And they, you know, rarely has anyone got the kahunas to actually say in front of all their friends and family, yeah, actually, you're right. I've got this completely wrong. And, you know, this woman has gone in here not to converse, not to learn, not to find the truth, but to stand her ground. And it's just the only way she can do that is through technique rather than knowledge, rather than understanding, rather than debate.
I am Amanda Seales, widely known as a comedian and actress.
She says widely known, and admittedly this is in America, but any of the English heard of her? And this fucking port, you know, this sort of CV she gives out, widely known as, no, you've been artificially elevated well above and beyond your abilities for reasons I can only guess at. But anyway, tell us. It would probably be easier for tell us what she isn't. It would be a smaller list.
As a comedian, an actress, a disruptor, an annoying person on the internet who always tells the truth. And I am now an artistic intellectual who commits myself to making art that educates. And today, I am
Is there nothing she cannot do?
surrounded.
So there you go. There's the weird setup. Again, just in case. Hello, Dottie. How are you, love? Just in case you haven't seen it before. I mean, here's why it's ridiculous. So this bird over on the right, you know, they have to run at the seat. She puts out a premise or a hypothesis. And anyone who thinks, oh, I've got this, they run at the seat because they think this is, they know about this. But how about this bird over here? How's she going to get all the way around into that chair before everyone else in that room is nearer to that chair? The second thing is, it's meant to be, they sort of propose it as when people think that you know, you've had enough time, they raise their flags. And I think if it's more than half of them raise their flags, you've got to go. It's really just when they're bored of you. Because I've seen people on here getting absolutely thrashed and they'll just not raise their flags. So if someone gets sort of yeeted, it's because half of the people have raised their flags. Anything else you need to know? Not really. Let's just see how bizarre this woman is. And this woman is an influencer, you know, and she's not an idiot. We have to take that into account. She knows who she's targeting. She targets young black people, and she's feeding them awful information that will do nothing good for America, and certainly nothing good for Black America, which then is obviously carries on over to America as a whole.
By 20 Black conservatives. My first claim is it is undeniable that reparations are just and necessary.
So we're starting with reparations. Okay, they're just. So we're talking about justice. Incredible. It's funny that she describes herself as a radical. You know, radical. I'm going to be digging this up a bit. Well, interesting. Radical originally come from agriculture. We were talking about agriculture the other day. I think it's Reddit. I think it's either, I think it's Greek, red or Latin. It's all Greek to me. Reddick, but radical meant the root of the plant or whatever you're farming. And it moved into philosophy, I guess, around the 17th, 18th century. I guess it could have been earlier than that, to mean the root of the problem rather than the root of the plant. But radical comes from agriculture. The reason that's interesting is culture. I think that's comes from couleur, I think it is. And that also comes from agriculture. In science, like an agar plant grows cultures. Well, it used to be like in agriculture, they'd talk about the culture of that particular part of agriculture, and that too has become to mean something socialized. I just think that's interesting that radical and culture both come from agriculture. Well, the clue's in the word, really, agriculture. Don't know if I needed to say that. Oh, we're raining. If you can hear that rain and it's off-putting, let me know.
All right, reparations.
Right. So interestingly, this is, like I say, I'm not too interested in the arguments. We've heard them all before. But I absolutely do mean Scrabble when I say Monopoly. What a catch. I think I've got to shut the doors because that rain's too loud for me. Wow, that is a monsoon. Did you notice, very subtle, when he sits down, this fella, watch her face, watch her first response. It's an unconscious response. Have a look, see what it is, look. Right, so she's folding her arms. Now, we know that that's defensive. It isn't always. Having your arms folded isn't always defensive, but we've got a baseline because she hasn't been doing that for the previous few minutes. As soon as he sits down, the arms are folded, then she laughs, then she smiles, but it's not sort of a smile of happiness. It's almost contempt. Now, contempt is the only micro-expression that is not symmetrical, and unfortunately I can't see the other side of her face, but I can see that her nose, it's more like that sort of smug sort of, what, you, a young black man, what are you going to tell me? That's what she's saying. But she's given the game away with the defensive. That doesn't mean she's threatened. It just means she's not going to move. She's not going to budge. That's what that means. Right, I'm putting my guard up. You, what do you think you're going to do? This is hilarious. You're just a bloke. And we can guess what she thinks about blokes. Well, white blokes probably. Look, she's still laughing. It's incredible. Why would you do that? We don't make decisions like this by accident. She's not sort of, it's not a tick. She's laughing at him. Imagine you were talking with a stranger in a boozer. I'm sorry, I always default to a bloke in a boozer. But imagine you're talking to someone in a boozer and you're just having a quiet beer with him, talking about the football or the weather, the usual stuff. And then he says, you know what? and he says something to you sort of vaguely political. And you went, it's so rude. It's condescending. It's saying, before you start, I'm well out of your league. That's what it is. That's how you'd feel. The head went back as well, and it's a nice contradiction because our hands have gone down by this point. When we do that, again, imagine like a fight's about to start. Chin up. You know why to chin up? Because of all the veins and arteries in your neck. You can cut them and kill someone. You can jab someone with your open palm like that, and you can kill someone. We're so vulnerable here. You watch humans; they will often protect major arteries, Like when, you know, you've seen people when they sort of put their hands in their lap over their bollocks because you've got your femoral artery there. You can stick a 2-inch, you can stick a 1-inch knife, just a couple of inches left of your penis. And if that goes into the femoral artery, they'll bleed out within minutes. And the neck is much like that. So that's why blokes in fights, they lift their arms up. You've got, you know, you're freeing up vulnerable arteries around here and in the elbow section, crossing your arms, you're covering all those up. But when you're offering someone out, you see it at the football, arms open, chest forward, chin up. Come on then. You're you know, physically you're saying, look, if you want to have a go, here it all is. Here's all my vulnerable points. So she laughs at him, and she offers her vulnerable points. She is dead certain that he can't do anything about this. He will lose. But it's more than he will lose, it's she will win. Because she's not going to budge. And the reason she's sure she will not lose is because she won't lose. Because she's been doing this for decades and she's learned the technique of debating. If it ever comes to a point where where she gets questioned in a way that actually causes problems to her position, she'll have a technique to get out of it. Don't do this. Why are you interrupting me? Well, you know, she's been doing it for years. She's a professional. This is the weird thing. She sees herself as like a professional activist and a professional debater. That's why Jubilee got her on. But in a weird way, she's a professional non-debater because she knows how to stick something in the ground to stop it going any further when she's under threat. Right, so everything I just said, watch it play out in a matter of seconds. You'll see it all.
All right, reparations, fair, necessary. My question would be, who's going to get it? Why would they get it? And how long are we going to sit here focusing on trying to get reparations? It's been how many years since slavery? 150 years, 1865? Whenever there's a real thing that this country wants to do, they do it. Stop Asian hate. Okay, there's a problem with the Asian hate. Let's draft a bill, sign it, and it's done. Anything needs to be done is done. With us, it's a carrot they dangle in front of us that they don't really want to do. And it's not going to help. We need education. Oh, it's not going to help. No, it's not. We need education. Getting a check from the government is not going to do that. And we need proper education. A lot of us go to these institutions where we're not really prepared, we're not really focused, and we don't get things that'll help us in the real world. So
it's an incredible face that she's pulling there because it is deliberately deceptive. You know, that isn't. It's a bad place to stop it.
We're not really focused, and we don't get.
She knows that's unconvincing. You know, that isn't the face someone pulls when they're actually engaged with what you're saying. She already knows her answer. She'd rather him have shut up 5 minutes ago, you know, after his first line. As soon as he said, we need education, because the black community has had trillions of dollars thrown at it. And it's, you know, there's still whole black communities that can't read at like 14, 15 years old. So his point is that money hasn't solved the problem. She wants that money. She wants it because she believes she deserves it. I mean, I know her ideas. And she thinks that the United States is a black nation, like, and that the whites have colonized it. It's so that is a deliberate. What is she doing? She's exposing her own deception. You know, it's a bit like, I mean, we've all done it. You must know when you've done that. Like when someone's trying to make an excuse to you, you do it when you're joking with someone, like with your missus or something. When you say, did you remember to buy my yogurts that you said you'd get? And they go, right. The thing is, and you sort of go, and it's a joke. And so she's doing that to him, and he won't be able to, you've got to be very strong. You've got to be equal to her ability to have these debate techniques, to not let that affect you. And she knows that. She's brilliant at it.
Things that help us in the real world. So if
she stopped listening to him 4 or 5 sentences ago.
you want to help Black people, a check from the government, from our tax dollars is going to get raised, because let's be clear, everybody in here is Black. We all American. We all got to pay taxes. It'll go to that. So I don't really see how this is going to help us at all.
Okay. Well, first I'll start with, it will help on even just a moral level.
Right. So straight away, not address anything he said. It's a moral thing. So not to engage. It's just morally right that we get given money, even though I wasn't a slave, or the people that are going to give me money were slaves. But the whites, who she's obviously talking about, there's no one else it could be. Even though the Asians are earning more in America than the whites, it's the descendants of white people who are going to be giving money to the descendants of slaves, like 3, 4, 5 generations ago. Okay, so it's moral, and again, it's an amazing take, because it's kind of timeless, isn't it, morality? But it's kind of like a historical relativism, isn't it? It's like cultural relativism, but based in history. Centuries ago, this tribe done this to this tribe. I mean, they could go to Africa and find the people that were selling them and perhaps ask them for a few quid, but that doesn't really support the whole ideology. And by ideology, I'm being generous, because it's actually a belief system, and the distinction there is subtle but really relevant. Go and look into it. We won't do it now. We'll be here all night.
The reality is that the United States has become very comfortable with the fact that it does not consider Black people equal, and it.
Okay, what? The United States. So everyone. That is everyone. She didn't say some white people. She didn't even say the government. She said the United States, the republic. The idea of the United States is comfortable with Black people. What did she say? They're second class or something? Probably.
The United States has become very comfortable with the fact that it does not consider Black people equal, and it.
And it's such an abstraction to describe. It's the same trick as saying whiteness. Whiteness this, whiteness that. It just allows you to accuse white people without saying it. And it's the same here. It's the same trick. This comfortable. How abstract is that in a debate? Think about it. The republic has become comfortable. That's poetry. And poetry it's questionable. It's a questionable place. It's questionable to use poetry in a debate. Now, there is a time and a place for it. You can summarize something with it, or via metaphor or simile. But as your initial input, the republic has become comfortable. So you actually have to say, well, what is she actually saying? And I don't think he knows. And it doesn't matter that he doesn't know, because she's silencing him.
Chose that in many ways that I'm sure we will discuss over the course of today. But ultimately, there has not been a committed, concerted effort to shifting the mindset around the use of Black people as a labor force in this nation, back when it was slavery, now in the use of slavery as slave labor in prisons. So.
I mean, what an insult. What an insult to the people who were slaves, that she's likening them to people who've broken the law, ended up in prison. All my mates who've been to prison, when I write to them, or you can email now, I said that like a proper granddad, didn't I? You can email prisoners now. they love it when they get a job. Getting a job is brilliant. Getting a job in prison is a great thing. But she's likening that to the to the transatlantic slave trade.
On a basic cultural level, reparations are an act of repair.
Right, basic cultural level, it's nothing, it's padding. Basic, or is it a basic cultural level, or is it a complex cultural level? I mean, it's obviously a complex cultural level, but say basic, again, it presumes this is obvious. It presumes the obvious nature of what she's saying. On a basic level, I mean, you must know this. It's basic. If she'd have told the truth and said, this is a very complex matter, well, then they might actually have to start approaching some form of truth. And that's the last thing she wants.
They're an effort to say, our bad, we see you now. We have seen that done with Japanese folks who were put in internment camps. We have seen that done with Jewish folks. We have seen that done even in the case of slave owners who received reparations. When it comes to the use of tax dollars to pay reparations, and this is going to come up a lot today, it's a matter of values, right? For me, my value system circulates around the fact that I think that as a community, we should all be engaged in repair for our community.
Yeah, but you're a poet, an artist, a writer, a disruptor, a filmmaker, a comedian. You've had your own TV shows. What exactly are you not getting from that uncomfortable republic that doesn't see you? Because it sounds to me that, I mean, you, in your own words at the beginning of this show, you told us how much you have seen. But is that only you? Or is it some people? Because it's also only some white people. It's also only some Asian people.
So I don't think there should be any problem with there being tax dollars spent at repairing consistent efforts that have been made to impede Black people.
You've had nothing but tax dollars, and it's made your communities weaker. The evidence is it's blatant, but you want more. And you know, and she said why, and it pulls the rug out of her own argument, because it's moral. It's a moral thing. It's moral to do. I don't actually want the money. Yeah, don't actually want the money. I just want the recognition.
So the reparations you're talking about are not just related to slavery. There's reparations that have been discussed all over this nation in different communities as it relates to particular massacres, as it relates to redlining.
Right, and so where do we draw the line here? Are Western Europeans going to get reparations from the Barbary pirates? Is the 4 million that were massacred in the Indian subcontinent going to get reparations? Are the Japanese civilians that copped 2 atomic bombs going to get reparations? You know, history is littered and written by war. And, you know, are the people at the Falklands going to get reparations? Are the Argentinians going to get reparations? You know, where do you draw the line when you're sort of clawing back hundreds of years? Where does that line stop when it's moral? And this is the brave new world. This is how liberalism thinks. Oh, we've made loads of mistakes, you know, going back to, you know, the before the Common Era. You know, we've got a lot of back payments to do. And the weird thing about that is everyone would probably end up with what they started with. You know, as Anglo says that, you know, the history of the world is you could draw a straight line through that as a history of slavery as well. But it is a moral thing. Because the abstraction of the republic has been abstractly comfortable with seeing Black people as second class. It's just in the clouds. It's as in the clouds as her ridiculous get up. And I don't really like taking the piss out of people's clothes, but there's a reason. There's a reason that she's dressed like that. You know, look at me, please look at me. Look at the other 20 conservatives. They haven't got that need. They're not demanding to be seen.
and the impediment of Black people to earn wealth by having property. There's been impediments in
being the president
in various ways that can be repaired. And I want to also just add, there's reparations that are considered a cash payment from a government.
But he's hypnotized. You know, that how do you come back to line after disconnected line?
Government.
I'll tell you, Al, you have to play the same game, and he will, and it will disempower him, because he started with an argument, but he's now within part of a fractured exchange that she's intentionally created. This is fractured. There's no, you know, if this is the problem with debates when people say, "Don't interrupt me." Because if you let people gabber on, they'll just do these massive broad strokes, and no human has got the ability to contain all of them, remember all of them, start preparing an argument about it. I think it was Count Basie who said, it might not have been it, that's a long shot, but I've got a funny feeling it was, that conversation is the art of not listening and preparing monologues or something, words to that effect. And she's not allowing him to do that. She's fragmenting the conversation. But everything she says, these are liberal and they're Black activist buzzwords. So it sounds convincing. You know, and students who are taught by people like this woman, who read her work and listen to her comedy and her poetry and her parachute jumping and whatever else she does, you know, repetition. We know this from marketing. We know it from propaganda. You keep using the same words and that, and you attach them to a belief system. Well, just that one word supports a belief system. So I'll drop that one in, I'll drop this one in, I'll drop that one in, I'll drop this one in. Why is she not? What happened to the moral argument? You know, if you're an honest actor and you're looking for the truth, she would have said, let's consider the moral aspect of this. And then that would have been a hypothesis, which would have become a thesis, which she would have then synthesized, and then she would have offered a conclusion. But none of that. No fundamental Socratic dialogue here, just an intentional fragmentation. I mean, this geezer might as well just walk. There's not. He hasn't got an object of analysis to come back to. She's like almost like quantum. The way she's looked at it has changed it.
Also, the version of reparations that shows up in how funds are applicated to specific groups.
Applicated. You know the word she meant? Applied. But applicated makes her sound clever to people who aren't. Applicated. What? And again, that's intentional. You know, she's learned how to do this. Now, when I say intentional, I'm not thinking she's there thinking, oh, I better say applicated instead of applied or apply. But she's learned over time that works. It makes people, it not only does it make people think she knows what she's talking about, but it makes people think that she's clever. And so then they trust her. Applicated.
Of people. So there's multiple ways in which what you're stating cannot happen could very well happen.
Okay, now.
And then that was a summary. There's multiple ways in what you're saying could happen and could not happen. What? Are we having the same conversation? No, we're not. Deliberately.
As far as the money going towards certain things is going to help us, let's look at Baltimore public schools.
So he's now have to go back to his original argument. And that's all he can do, which is excellent, actually. Because everything she said meant nothing she didn't engage with him. This is propaganda. She is providing propaganda. And so he's just had to go, well, fuck knows what you're talking about. But let's go back to some concrete examples, which is what he started with.
They get, I think, the third most money per pupil in the US of A. like $15,000 per student, but yet the majority of the population that comes from that environment can't read. They're illiterate. So we're done.
Yeah, look, they've got that in that fact check there. If you're on a phone, you might not be able to see it. Baltimore City spends over $18,000 on each student. That's the 13th highest of the nation's 100 largest districts. Despite that, only 16%, less than a fifth, less than 1 in 5 can read at or above national standards. Only 13% of fourth graders. I think fourth graders are about 15. If any Yanks in the chat can correct me. So again, yeah, here's a concrete example of where money has not improved the situation. And we all know what welfare has done to black communities. You know, it's encouraged the breakup of the family. It's encouraged fatherless homes. You know, the woman doesn't have to work. Have a kid, the government gives you money. Have another kid, the government will give you more money. Have another one, get some more money. Have another one, have some more money. And that also takes responsibilities away from fathers, because the fathers aren't like, that's my kid, and I've just fucked off some. I'm just going elsewhere. I'm not going to look after that kid. But they don't need to, because the state will. And the state should, the state should never be looking after children. Once the state, it thinks it does, it thinks it does in Europe as well. I mean, Europe's in a far worse situation than America. At least America's got the church still doing its best to look after its flock. But Europe has got a tiny church and a huge state. And it's been drummed into our heads that that's what the state's for. It's there to look after you. You know, if you haven't got any money, we'll feed your kids. We'll give them free school dinner meals. We'll give you dinner tickets that you can sell to buy fags with. It sounds normal. It sounds ethically like a good thing. Yeah, no, the state provides. Yeah, at what cost? I don't mean financial either. At what cost? Because it breaks up families, it breaks up communities, and then it makes you dependent on the state. And when the populace are dependent on the state, that's when they become compliant, and that's when the state becomes more powerful. Of course, she won't take any of that into consideration, because her belief system, which is an emotional thing, it's not an intellectual thing, cannot accept that, because it's been repeated. Her mentors have repeated this stuff to her. I've told you this before, but this is a really important time to repeat it. When I was on my master's degree, which was a communist boot camp, it really was. They were trying to turn. You went to do a master's. I went to learn about French post-structuralism and Freud, and they wanted me to be a communist. It's a little like I already was, but it was that was the start of the end of my communism, because I thought this is weird. And you see who gets promoted. You see who gets to write for the for the faculty journal. And it's not the people who question things. It's not the people they talk about. It's not, they love the likes of Foucault and Derrida, as do I, Adorno, as do I. But and Nietzsche, as do I. They love these people who question things, the radical, to the root of the problem people. But they don't want to create those people, because they realise they'll uncover this racket that's going on in education. The long march has been done. There were no right-wing lecturers at Leeds University, certainly not in the philosophy or the cultural studies or the sociology departments, none. I didn't meet a single one. Most of them are Jewish. I don't know if that has any impact on things. But the people that get elevated, the people that get the firsts, you get a first. Oh, this is the first degree honours, which will help you in the world, help you elevate, help you get published, help you get this, help you get that, help you get onto a doctorate. So you end up in further education, and then you can be a doctor. Then you can become a teacher. So the people who agree with what you'll be, I didn't. I used to go in those classes, not just to be an arsehole, but because I didn't agree with what they were saying. They would start explaining something, and I go, well, hang on a minute, and they'd look at me as if, why are you ruining the party? Look at everyone else. Really, that's what it felt like. Why are you? Everyone else is just sitting here listening and learning. And it's you again. It's you again saying that they've got it wrong. Who do you think you are saying Rene Descartes got it wrong? Oh, I will explain it if you give me the chance. No, we haven't got time. I had that on a master's degree. We haven't got time for you to explain why you don't think what I'm telling you is correct. And I'll tell you now, because I've kept an eye on them, all those people that repeated what they were told, they maintained the ideological and social relations required to allow the institution, the academia, to reproduce itself in the same form it was before. You'd think that in philosophy, for instance, the people that would end up lecturers and getting published and getting to write in the faculty magazine or whatever would be the people that were questioning stuff, because that's what learning is about. But it doesn't work like that. They want people like them. They want people to repeat it so that it can reproduce itself. So the next generation of lecturers are the same as the last generation. They've got it sweet. They're tenured. You can't get shot of them. They do hardly any work. Two seminars a week? Fucking Ada. And so she's one of those people. And that's why she's been elevated. That's why she's when I add successful to comedian, filmmaker, actress, presenter, because she says the right things for that community. She reproduces it. She's part of a lineage. And all these conservatives, these black conservatives, what do you think is going to happen to them? Ostracized. They'll be ostracized.
I'm putting money on the situation, yes, but yet we're not getting the results we.
There's that same face again. Look, that frown is that. Come on, people, tell me in the chat, what is that? What is that frown saying? Have a punt at what is that frown saying? If someone was looking at you like that, it's very subtle, because it almost could be, oh, this is interesting, but there's something else there. Interesting from Anglo, interesting from Quadrex. And it might be those. I don't think it is. There you go. Dottie's nailed it. She's saying, what are you talking about? What are you going on about? Where did you learn it? There you go. You're Indie new. You new around here, love. Nice to see you. Yeah. It means he's talking. You've absolutely nailed it. It's just like, she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And that is more effective than anything she said, because it's doing him no good at all. He'll be feeling that, and he's under pressure as well. He knows this is going on the internet. He knows that this appearance could change his entire life. There you go, Pags as well. You're inferior. That's what a mother looks at a 4-year-old for, who's just kicked over a glass of Coca-Cola. And she says, did you just kick over that glass of Coca-Cola? And he goes, no, a man came in through the back door and done it and then walked out. That's that face. She's just like, where did you, you're an idiot. Where did you pick up all this nonsense? There you go. Absolutely. Hello, John. Hello, Mousecat.
Should get from it. Money's not going to help.
Oh, amazing. Did you see it after, as if I didn't know. Watch. You saw it anyway, but let's watch that again. That is so patronizing. She done the 4 eyes around the world. Did you see it? Like, didn't move her head, but just like, that's what you do when an insane person comes up to you and says, if you know where the dog star is, you can put your finger on the telly and your grandmother will climb out of her grave. You sort of go, oh, God, you do the eyes around the world thing. Watch. Straight after treating him like an inferior child who doesn't know what he's talking about. Then you're off your head. Watch. It's shocking.
Then yes, but yet we're not getting the results we should get from it. Money's not going to help.
Wow.
The thing. We need to just focus on what we need to focus on. As far as Black people being labor force of this country, what else are we doing? We got 25% of us on some kind of government assistance.
It's amazing that she accused Black people of working. She accused them of working. And he just, look, when you argue with idiots, you become idiot. You become idiotic. He's actually had to just say that to her. I can't believe he's actually had to say that. If we're not working, what should we be doing? It's quite good to have a job, weirdly.
What else are we doing? We got 25% of us on some kind of government assistance. 1 out of every 3 Black men will go to jail. We got to do something. We got to work with our hands, work with...
Can you believe he's even having to explain this? This is like 12-year-olds kind of stuff. Right, children. What? And it's not his fault. She's put him in this position. Remarkably as well. I've got to give her props. She's absolutely wasted him. She's made him say that on the telly. The telly. Sorry, I'm quite old. But she's made him say that. Well, we've got to work, work with our hands and that. It's like, and at that point, she knows she's won. She absolutely knows, she's just got a grown adult who's been watched by 2.5 million people to say, well, it's good to have a job. I bet before he got up there, he didn't think he'd be saying that. Wow.
Do something because we're not doing much of anything. And also, one more piece here.
And then she's got the cheek to say, and what? Oh, that's so obvious. Yeah. She's brilliant. She's brilliant at it. And I'll tell you, if you don't go along with my hypothesis, my thesis on this woman, that's fine. It's only my opinion. But when you've spoken to people like this, it's phenomenal the effect they have on you. It's phenomenal because she's tapping into non-linguistic communication, and about 90% of our communication, if you take the sort of contemporary psychological view on this, is non-linguistic. And look at her. Look, what kind of fool are you? What are you? Obviously, people have to work. Yeah, but hang on. A few minutes ago, you were saying that that's modern slavery. So he cannot win. She's just battering him around the place, and it's phenomenal work on her part.
Reparations, again, always anchored in front of us, never going to happen. As long as you've been living, as long as I've been living, as long as everybody been living, they say we need it, and it never gets done. One more piece.
You just said one more piece, then you added another one.
I promise.
So hold on to it. No, hold on to it.
I'm gonna land the plane. I'm gonna land the plane. I promise.
Right, I have seen this next bit. Did you hear him say, "I'm going to land the plane"? Right, just keep that in mind.
Reparations is a thing. Like I said, it's a carrot that dangling from.
So now he's trying to get back to his original point because he realizes he's been kicked off it. He realizes he's been nudged well. He's probably just realized, have I just said that it's good to work? You know, you got to do something with your hands. Did I just say that? So he's like, hang on, let me get back to my actual level of intelligence, because she infantilized me with a few facial gestures, an initial linguistic sort of labyrinth just to confuse him. And then once he was confused, this is how stage hypnotists work. After a labyrinth of confusion, a couple of facial gestures, but he's like, well, you've got to work with like hand tools, knocking hammers on nails and things. And he's just sort of snapped out of that and thought, whoa, that's why he did shout over it. Then, no, let me land the plane. What he's actually saying is, I need to remember who I am, because you just kicked me, you just pushed me well out of my personality.
In front of us, they're never really going to get it done. And if it was going to get done, it would have already been done. It's just something that they're using to try and make us stay Democrat. That's what I wanted to say.
Well, Democrats are not doing reparations either. They're not. This is nonpartisan. This is black partisan, baby. Okay.
This is not partisan. Right, we all know what that means. And then she says, this is black partisan, baby. Now that baby as a modifier is incredible. It's, you know, it's not the kind of language, you can say what you want in a debate, but there's consequences to them and there's reasons why you do. And it's again, we go back to that patronizing. You know, it's like, this isn't she just said, this isn't an intellectual debate anymore. You know, this isn't partisan. This is black partisan. Now, I get it that she was talking about not politically partisan, but she would have intentionally left that out until she realized, oh, actually it is. But the modifier baby saved her. It's incredible.
Are not doing reparations either. They're not. This is nonpartisan. This is black partisan, baby.
Oh, so it is partisan.
Okay.
Well,
this is nonpartisan.
Who do we vote for? Who do we vote for 90% of the time? There's no incentive.
To be quite honest, you're not talking to a Democrat. You're talking to a radical.
Okay, but who?
You know, I've got to have a piss, people. Packer, can you say, do anything? I really need a piss.
Brilliant, nice one. Keep up the chat. I'm not actually going to do anything, obviously. Don't know what you'd expect me to do. This might be a case of, I can tell you, this might be a case of, because it happened to Jordan Peterson, that when he went on the show, he was told he was going to be debating on one topic, and all the people that went there to debate him were told something else. So it's more or less a setup. I'm not going to say anything bigoted, Toffee. Well, other than obviously, you know, can I have my wheels back? Anything else? How much did you get from Toffee?
Oh, cheers, mate. Oh, that was the most stressing piss I've ever had. Well, that's a bit of hyperbole. I've had more stressing ones, in truth.
I'm going.
All right, mate. But wait, before you go, listen. When I play the video, like my missus is in bed, right? And she doesn't mind me streaming. She's got these wicked earplugs. But I say, you know, I keep it down a bit. But when I'm watching the video, it comes out of my system quite quietly. And so she can't hear it with her earplugs in. So when I said, Packer, say something, I'm in the toilet, which is about 60 meters down there and round two walls. And I can hear Packer clear as day. It's just booming out, but I can't come back and turn it down because I'd have pissed all the way up the corridor. And I'll bet my missus was in bed thinking, fucking hell, this is taking the piss a bit. Do you need a wee, Packer?
Yeah, I should have shut up like usual.
No, you shouldn't. You were great. Look at JP. She's back. Listen, people, this goes back to what I said the other day, right? When you're debating with someone, it's essential that people like us do debate people. We've all had it. I've seen plenty of people in the chat saying, and I get emails saying, I was arguing with some leftists the other day, and I think I know what I'm talking about, but suddenly blah 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 blah. So you don't follow her, don't do that, but just remember truth and honesty. When you say to someone, hang on a minute, I'm getting emotional, do that. It will empower you beyond belief, and it'll make the other person stop. They'll have to stop. And you can, and I learned this from stand-up comedy. Call it. You can just say, look, hang on a minute, I'm getting emotional. And when I get emotional, I don't communicate and I don't listen as well. That's a beauty. It sounds like you're doing them a favor. I don't listen as well. But the fact is you don't when you're emotional. So you're not lying, you're not manipulating, it's the truth. And then, and also if they start just go, well, you can just say, look, stop, because you're just throwing loads of things at me. And how the hell am I meant to understand? Let's look at these one by one, and you'll find that they haven't got. There tends to be not much behind it, because like I say, it's a propaganda trick. It's just throw the buzzwords, do it hard, do it heavy, do the kind of thing she's doing, pull the faces, infantilize you, etc., etc. And if you're in front of other people, like you usually are, again, in a booth or any social situation, it's really one-on-one, and we know we're a minority. With most of the people who come here are right-wing. You just remember truth and honesty, and you can say, well, just stop, just let. What was the first thing you said? Don't let them use technique on you. Let it be an honest conversation, and maintain that. And anything they do to sort of take you off that straight line of truth and honesty, just call them back in. Just say, whoa, it's too. You're giving me so much. It's like when I got my BMX, my first BMX, I was over the moon. I was absolutely over the moon. And I had a dream before I got my BMX that I inherited a BMX shop. But the feeling I got from that dream was that none of it had any value, because I had all of it. I had the lot. And you can say that to people. Well, don't tell them about my BMX dream, but just sort of say to them, let's just keep it on this one thing, because we might actually get somewhere. And it's important because this is how you shift the Overton window. Individual conversations going on all over the country. If you're having those conversations and changing minds, you might not change the mind of the person you're talking to. And if it's a belief system, it's very unlikely you will, because that's traumatic. It's traumatic to pull the rug out of someone's belief system is traumatic, because it's become their identity. It's not just what they think, it's what they feel. It's who they are. And so they will rarely back down, but there'll be 2 or 3 people sitting around, and you'll be able to expose it simply by remaining honest with what's going on with you, what's going on with them, and what's going on in the conversation. No accusations required, just the material, the content of the debate. Think of Scrabble. Think of it. Think they're good at playing Scrabble. But you're interested in what the words mean. So keep bringing it back to that. Give us a second, people. I'm just going to check the huge donations over on Entropy and Buy Me a Quadrex has bought a future, and he says, "Hoy, Quadrex." I will put that on the screen a bit later. Fair play, Quadders. That was I was all prepared there to say, "Oh no, no one has." But nice one, Quadders. Oh, the old mushroom grips. Oi, Wolfie, do you remember Z-rims? I've not managed to find them on the internet anywhere. Oh, people, remember I told you that bird that I've managed to make contact with? She hasn't emailed me. I really thought she would. Z-rims used to bend. You'd do like a kick out, and then when the wheel hit the ground, it'd go brrr, and then bend back into shape. Right, let's crack on with a bit more of this.
So let's land this plane very quickly.
There you go. You remember earlier I said to you, remember him, he said, let's land this plane. And then a few seconds later, she's thrown it back at him. Listen.
You're not talking to a Democrat. You're talking to a radical.
Okay, but who?
So,
why does that matter? You're not talking to a Democrat. Okay, that's all right. That's fair enough to say that. I'm not a Democrat. You're talking to a radical. What does that add to the conversation? That's just bragging. That's just, I'm radical. I know I go to the root of the problem. I'm better than you. And now she's going to tell him it's time to land the plane. His words, brilliant.
Let's land this plane very quickly.
Who do we vote for?
Let's land this plane quickly.
Who do
You're
we vote
talking
for?
to a radical, not a Democrat.
Again, even though he heard and everyone heard the first time, she said it again. Because she doesn't want to let him talk. She's talking over him. We're having that whole bit again. I won't interrupt it. Watch.
Talking to a Democrat. You're talking.
He's trying to say something here, right? He's trying to say something. She's losing at the moment. She knows that it's getting to the point where it's becoming obvious that she's just not letting him talk. Watch.
There's no incentive.
To be quite honest, you're not talking to a Democrat. You're talking to a radical.
Okay, but let's
land this plane very quickly.
Who do we vote for?
Let's land this plane quickly.
Who do
You're
we vote
talking
for?
to a radical, not a Democrat.
Okay,
and
you
so,
are your own person.
Let me
but
tell
who
you
do we
something
vote
now.
for?
I don't know what they told you, but if they told you that cutting me off is how we're going to get clicks, stop it now.
Oh, no.
That's not how we're going to. That's not how we're going to
We having a debate.
A debate does not require continuously cutting somebody off.
Okay, no problem.
Now I do want to state this. Your state,
which she's been doing and will continue to do so.
Eating things as it relates to how money is not fixing a problem without acknowledging the fact that the problem doesn't exist in a vacuum and that there are so many other factors that are determining how that money is getting spent to impede it from actually fixing a problem. You can put all the money into Baltimore public schools you want, but if you are also putting all this money into policing, into communities that are not getting resources, then you are also creating your own conundrum.
You don't want to be putting money into policing. That's what black communities want, less policing. You go and ask them, and I bet you I'm sure all those mothers will say, yeah, we want less police because I feel really safe walking around this place.
The other part of this is that when you're saying they, the they is a broad context.
Oh, a little bit like the Republic and being uncomfortable. Yeah, it's all right for you to use those terms, but not him. Okay.
And the last part of this that I will...
Nothing else to add to that. Just slapping him. You say they. It's stupid to say they. It's just too broad. But earlier on, she talked about the USA. What was her exact words? I can't remember. I think she said the USA is, or some. It was equivalent to they. But now that's not enough. That's not good enough now because it's not her saying it.
Say is that you keep saying they're dangling this in our face. They're dangling in our face. Slavery lasted for 400 years. It hasn't even been 400.
No, slavery lasted since time immemorial. You're talking about one little window of slavery that, by the way, hasn't been around for quite some time.
Years since slavery. So should we be only fighting for a quarter of the time to get repair?
All right, I'm so sorry. You've been voted out by the majority.
All right.
Please return to your seat.
Okay.
Right. Here's something that's fascinating about that. I watch Jubilee quite a lot. I watch this show quite a lot. Usually, people who are as boring as that bloke, and he was quite boring. He didn't really stand a chance, but he was quite boring because he tried to have an honest conversation. But he got nearly 7 minutes before he got voted out. Usually on Jubilee, someone like that would get a couple of minutes. So you got to ask, hang on, how comes that happened? How comes he got so long? Because of her. Because the same effect she was having on him, she was having on all of those. They were all hypnotized. You know, this is like Rasputin. You know, why did all the hottest birds in Russia want to sleep with this really weird, ugly man who didn't wash? Because he knew how to have those kinds of effects on people. Me, Rasputin, you know, plenty of them out there. I had a couple of birds who used to make me put my boots and socks on the window ledge. Touch a trench foot. No way as Euro Indie News has joined the firm. Lovely. We actually have voice only meetings, so keep an eye on your notifications. It's on Discord. Only members see the link, and we have a couple of them a week, and they're a good laugh. So look out for them. Nice one. Show your Indie News some love, people. I'm gathering she's new in these parts. Lovely. Here we go. So
my name is Matt Nuclear.
Hello, Matt. Matt Nuclear?
Matt Nuclear, yes.
Matt Nuclear, give me a better handshake than that. Let's do it.
right, amazing, absolutely amazing. You're in the news. I just want to thank you again. That's money that you've earned, and you've offered to give me a bit every month for as long as you want. You know that I really appreciate it. Did you see that? Look at the opener. And this is again, I don't like this woman. I don't dislike her. She's kind of irrelevant in my life. But she goes up there. He says his name's Matt Nuclear. I'm guessing he's a YouTuber or a TikToker or something, because I don't think Nuclear is a real surname. It might be. I mean, Dangerfield's a bit of an odd one. He shakes her hand. And she again puts him down. No, shake my hand properly. What she's saying is, oh, come on, be a man. Don't be a child. Don't be a wuss. She emasculates him straight away. And again, this is from years of doing this. It's brilliant. It is brilliant. And the beauty of that one is, and I've had blokes do this to me, not as an older man, but as a younger man. You shake their hand and they go, no, come on. And when you're a younger man, it's not so bad because you are younger and they're older. But she's emasculated him immediately, and she's a woman. He's physically stronger than her, without a doubt. I mean, he just is, obviously. And she says, no, come on, do that again. That was pathetic. Shake my hand properly. It's incredible. Check it out. And he does it. If I was him, I'd like to think I'd go, no, you're all right. That was quite adequate for me. But, when people can do these things and they tap into your emotions, and again, this from marketing since the sort of early to mid 20th century realized don't try and communicate with people's reason and logic. Don't try and sell them things based on reason and logic. I mean, you can, but you're much better off appealing to their emotions, because they haven't got much control over that. Bernays, Dichter, they all got it from Freud, who set out to help people. I mean, isn't Eddie Bernays Freud's grandson or something? Amazing. Freud will be turning in his grave. But just watch it. Watch how natural it comes to her. I doubt it was even a bad handshake. And what is a bad handshake? I remember my English teacher went, when you shake someone's hand, don't give them a wet kipper, right? But what I didn't tell you was that he said it in this voice. When you shake someone's hand, don't give them a wet kipper. It's like, what? Hang on, you can't have, you're twisting my melon, man. You're giving me this sign, but you're telling me that one. Watch how quick she does it, and imagine what it means to him again. Millions of people are going to see this, and I know you might think, oh, that don't matter, what, just that, but he will be hyper aware. Oh bollocks! I've just remembered I've got different colour socks on. Oh fuck! There's a little bit of tomato juice. There's a bit of tomato sauce stain on my cuff. But imagine that intellectually. Imagine that in the way you're perceiving the situation. And she just says, "That was pathetic. Give me a proper handshake straight away. Brilliant."
My name is Matt Nuclear.
Hello, Matt. Matt Nuclear?
Matt Nuclear, yes.
Matt Nuclear, give me a better handshake than that. Let's do it.
I appreciate having this.
Did you see her go into a deeper voice there? She's done an impression of a man. So not only has she put him down, but then she's sort of fathered him. This is amazing. She's so good at it all. And it comes so naturally to her. It doesn't actually. That I shouldn't have said that. She's practiced this for years, because because liberal arguments fall apart on just from the most superficial analysis. They have to learn these kind of techniques. They have to, because otherwise they fall apart, because it's ridiculous. The amount of people I've talked to about multiculturalism, and at the end of the conversation, where they choose to end it, is the problem with multiculturalism, and usually we're talking about England or Western Europe, is there's not enough of it. That is the kind of logic that liberals live by. Well, there's not enough of it, is there? That's the problem. We've got a dominant tribe, and that's why there's a problem. If we were to bring more people in from all over the world, right? They are, just once more, because it's beautiful.
My name is Matt Nuclear.
Hello, Matt. Matt Nuclear?
Matt Nuclear,
Check out her doing an impression of a man here.
yes.
Matt Nuclear, give me a better handshake than that. Let's do it.
I appreciate having this conversation with a beautiful black woman like yourself. This is
and he's fallen straight into the trap. She hasn't. He fell straight into it. I appreciate having a conversation with a beautiful black woman such as yourself. It's like a child just had a bad dream, crying to his mummy. She's got him there. She's not like that though. Look at her response to what he just said. That she is like, job done. I patronized him. I put him in his place. I fathered him, and now he's flirting with me. Look at her face. Look, that's not what you do when someone's giving you a compliment, is it?
nice, beautiful arena here. I disagree that the reparations.
Oh, amazing! I missed that. Did you see she done the Black Power fist? Let's just have a little look into that. What has that symbol then got to do with the situation that happened before it? She fathers him, she patronizes him, she condescends him. Then he flirts with her. Her response is to look almost contemptuous. And then that is we stick together. That's what that is. I can rattle this stupid young bird's cage, and yet he's it's great that he can have a conversation with a beautiful woman like you, Dad. And she's like, nailed it. That's how we stick together. That's what that means. And you know, that's not a bad thing. That's what culture is. Culture is sticking together. Culture is excluding. She's saying that comment after that gesture after that conversation is breed with your own. That's what she's saying. If you were to try doing that as, say, a white person, you'd probably end up in prison.
A beautiful black woman like yourself. This is nice, beautiful.
Yeah, look, wow. It's incredible that the face is, like I say, it's just on the edge of contempt. But that is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because he's on my side. He's meant to be here to call me out, but he's flirting with me. And that's black power. To her, that's black power.
Arena here. I disagree that reparations are necessary. I think the most important thing that's necessary right now for the black community would be the stopping of violence, especially black on black violence. I don't see how reparations is going to solve anything. You can give everyone here like a $50,000, especially people that are in the street.
So this sort of, that's her way of telling him, like, child, I've been here so many times before. This is ridiculous. You know, I get it that you're young. I get it that, you know, you think you know things, but you're ignorant. You don't know the world. You're not wise. And she's like, literally, you know, it's just so rude. It's so rude. But I haven't seen past it. I don't know how he'll cope with it because she's doing her usual tricks. That's what I said in the description of this video. This isn't about content for her. This is about technique. And you've got to be aware of these techniques because they're more and more the thing. They're more and more the thing that's happening. We see it on, you'll see it on news programs. You'll see it when they interview people. You know, do you remember when Dapper Laughs? His old man had just been diagnosed with cancer or something. He went from just a comedian to the most hated man in England. And that awful upper middle class journo on BBC Two just tore him to pieces because he wasn't as articulate as her. He didn't have vocabulary like her. She knew it. She just tore him to pieces. Let's see how this kid does.
Who are committing violent crimes consistently, a $50,000 check, it's not going to fix anything. It's not going to increase the median household income in the next 10 years by 10% or 20%. For example, we had the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. We prevented Chinese people from getting citizenship and even entering the country. We discriminated against.
He's doing all right, but slow down, mate. Slow down and just put 1 point at her. The Chinese Exclusion Act is enough. You've made your point. Ask her to respond to that. Because if you feed her many examples, she's going to come back with many rebuttals, and then you're going to get lost in that hypnotic state again. So don't play ball with it just because it is going to happen to you. Just again, maintain your emotions. What about this? This questions what you've said. He made a really good point. That $50,000 check, or it could be $1 million check. How's that gonna change things in like 20 years? You put all that money into black communities that are killing each other at incredibly, like, it's almost unimaginable rates. Well, you've just made it more tempting. Are they going to invest that money? Are they going to move out? That's probably what the first thing most of them are going to do. But this fast talking, it doesn't work. It's not strong. It makes you come across as weak. I get it. He knows he's being watched. He's nervous. I get that. But just as a lesson, you know, again, learn this from doing stand-up comedy. It's all right to stop. You watch good comedians. You watch good successful comics. They'll tell a joke or a story if they're a raconteur. And sometimes they'll stop. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds. Take a couple of breaths. It's fine. Audiences love it because you're showing the audience that you're relaxed. You're just a bloke telling stories. Well, I was just telling stories. But when you watch new comics, it's fucking terrifying, that silence. And a second feels like a minute. And they just go, and the audience are like, that energy is being sort of forced on them. And they're sort of like, fucking hell. And they're like, can you take a breath, mate? Because I feel like I can't. And so, again, he's nervous, but it's all right. Again, in argument, you can stop. You can just go, just take a few breaths. And if the person you're arguing with says, what are you doing? You say, I'm taking a few breaths. And there's no answer to that. If they say why, you say, well, because I need it, oxygen to live. They won't say why. They'll just think, damn, I wanted this to get out of hand because I'm practiced in the art of debate being out of hand. That's because that's what we do. That's how we're taught. Because our content is weak. So our personas have to be strong. Whereas when your content is strong, even the weakest man can deliver that and reveal the truth.
Basically put them under apartheid, even here in the United States, yet they have the highest median household income. How is that possible? How come they don't complain and feel
Right, I talked over I think he's talking about Asians now. So let's go back. Because it's a really important point, the massive success of Asian Americans. They've had it so much harder than the blacks, certainly in the last sort of couple of 100 years, obviously post-slavery, and yet they're some of the richest people in America. Let's see what he says.
We have the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. We prevented Chinese people from getting citizenship and even entering the country. We discriminated against them and basically put them under apartheid, even here in the United States, yet they have the highest median household income. How is that possible? How come they don't complain and feel entitled consistently to beg for reparations and beg for this when they are killing each other 90% of the time, which is the rate that black people kill each other, according to the FBI?
Right. Amazing. I just want to go back to her that. She knows he's right. That is the face of someone who knows he's right. She knows he's right. She knows that she has never managed to win this argument. So she's now thinking, what's my get out of this? And I'm telling you now, having not seen this, it's going to be something to do with Chinese family structure. It'll be something to do with where did you get your statistics from? All these things. It's going to be supplemental to the content because that's what she does. Again, it's not about content, it's about technique. And there's a reason I keep saying that because I want you to remember it. She knows that. She's looking at him and she already knows what he's talking about. He doesn't need to give all these numbers. She knows that this comes up and she knows that it's a proper spanner in her ideological works. So it's just a question of how is she going to divert it? Let's see.
How come they don't complain and feel entitled consistently to beg for reparations and beg for...
Which they don't. The Asian Americans don't. They're just very successful. And you know why I think it is? Because they work hard. They don't complain. They don't try and get as much money off the state as possible. That hashtag not all, but I don't forget I live in a country where there's no welfare. I live in a country where I've been with a woman who today we were making marriage plans, by the way. Apparently, after I marry her, I can become a Cambodian citizen in 3 years. I was like, yeah, I don't know about that. I'm not quite sure about that one. Sorry, that I've lost my thread now. Hang on. Yeah, I live in a country where there's no welfare. Now, my missus is one of 5 daughters. One got sold, right? They also used to sell their hair as well, because Cambodian hair is prized all around the world because of a combination of genetics and diet. And the father got killed. So what does a mother of 4 daughters do with no welfare? You get busy. You find ways to generate wealth. When I remember growing up in the 80s, and there'd always be programs on telly about these towns that have there's like 50% unemployment. And I've got this image in my head of very lazy looking blokes, usually blokes, always. Well, the image I've got is of blokes. And they're always saying, well, there's no jobs, are there? There's no bloody jobs. And that's part of that whole state looking after you thing. The state should invest. I could never, even as like a young teenager, I couldn't work out this idea that the state should create jobs that are lost to the state. They're essentially funding jobs that don't actually need doing, just so that people can work for them. And that still goes on to today. Well, there's no bloody jobs, is there? I'm sorry about the northern accent. I know this happens down south as well, but the south is traditionally better off. I don't know why. I haven't looked into that. Probably because it's nearer London. Let's see how she doesn't engage with his content and uses technique to just bat it out of the park.
For this, when they are killing each other 90% of the time, which is the rate that black people kill each other, according to the FBI.
Oh, young Matt.
Yet white.
Young man, amazing. Was it young man or young Matt? And this scratching her head and not even looking at him. This is real. I haven't got time for this. I ain't got time for this. This is really that. Look, this is like when you're getting done by a teacher. This seems to be a thing. I'm better than you. I know more than you. Well done for coming up and giving it a go. But I'm kind of reaching my limit now because, I'm an artist, poet, filmmaker, writer, presenter, comedian, blah, blah. Not looking at him, scratching his head. It doesn't matter whether it's young man or young Matt. I can't remember. But just that young thing again. And don't forget, give me a proper handshake, you pussy. That happened here as well. It's just you're of nothing. You're nothing. I'm not looking at you. This itch is more important than you. Again, humans don't do things. She's not like just impulsively scratching. She's turned her head away. She's looking away. You can turn your head if you maybe your neck hurts or something, but you can still look at someone if you're having a fucking conversation with them about something that you have made a career out of, you make a living out of, you think it's important. Black power, remember? But it's not important to her that blacks are killing each other at insane rates. So not only does she turn her head away, but she shows him. That's what's nearest to him. Look at me scratching my head. And not looking at you. It's brilliant. Again, it's brilliant. It's miraculous. He's shrinking. He started shrinking when she told him to shake his hand. And she's like she's not the incredible shrinking woman, but you know what I mean? She's got the power to make other people shrink. And well, let's see where she goes with it. I'll take it back a bit. This is incredible.
The time, which is the rate that black people kill each other, according to the FBI.
Oh, young Matt.
Yet white people are the oppressors.
I'm not sure where your education came from, but they lied.
There you go. That's amazing. I'm not, we know what she means by that. I'm not sure where your education come from. That's another way of saying what you know, what you think you know is wrong. I know the truth. oh, young man, I know. That's what that means. I don't know where you learn this. You know, it's almost it comes across as quite benign, doesn't it? But it isn't. It's you're wrong. You've been misinformed, and I know that because I haven't been misinformed. All of that is in that little gesture and those couple of lines.
Yet white people are the oppressors.
I'm not sure where your education came from, but they lied to you.
Right, but she debunks herself in the same line. I don't know where you were educated, so she doesn't know. He might have been educated at the same place that she was educated at. She doesn't know. She says, I don't know. But she knows they lied to him. What about if he didn't learn this stuff from an institution? What about if he done some research? But that's incredible. What an incredible angle. So everything he just said, the Asian American situation, the black on black crime situation, and she's just like, you've been lied to. Like, you've been lied to. Looking away and scratching her head. You know, you can imagine her taking a dump in a minute. Just like, no, carry on talking. I just had to get that. Sorry, what are you talking about? Oh, yeah. So I didn't quite call it, but I said she might mention statistics or Chinese families, and she just said he's been lied to. Oh, wow.
Are the oppressors.
I'm not sure where your education came from, but they lied to you.
Stats don't lie, though.
Statistics lie all the time. So
Oh, they lie all the time, but do yours lie all the time then? Because that would be all the time. So if we're going to write, are you writing off statistics? Because you either are or you aren't. You know, that is a broad stroke. Statistics lie all the time. I mean, I know she's being hyperbolic, but what she's saying is there's a tendency and there's the possibility that statistics can be wrong, but at the same time, it's kind of sort of assumed within that the statistics she uses, they're not lies, because they can't be, because if they were, she wouldn't have a leg to stand on. Incredible.
So let's start there, particularly when the statistics are coming from these.
So let's start there. So you've been lied to, right? So everything you know is a lie. Let's start there. And he didn't even challenge that, because he's been emasculated. He had his handshake taken. She scratched her head and looked away. That's what he's done to him. If someone said that to me, if someone said, I don't know where you got this stuff, but you've been lied to, let's start there. I'll say, no, let's not start there. Why don't you actually look at what I said? Why don't you talk about what I said? Well, okay, then, so what are the incidents of black on black crime? What numbers have you got? Can you explain are Asian Americans not the highest median income in America at the moment? But he didn't even bother. She said, you've been lied to, so let's start there. Incredible.
Sources that gain from the statistics being shown a different way. So if you're going to start your argument on stats don't lie, you've already lost the argument. They lie all the time. One, comparing Chinese people who are immigrants that made a choice to come to the United States and comparing the continued effort of Black people to ground themselves in a nation that continues to make impediments for them to show and live and exist in their true citizenship is a false equivalency.
That is just a string of buzzwords.
Hang on, I've got to call that because in our last argument with the first bloke, as in who gets reparations, why and who to and where, yeah, she brought in everyone else. All of a sudden, everyone else counted in that argument, and now suddenly no one else counts in this argument.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I don't believe that happens at all. No one here is in.
Good call, Packer.
Are you acting right now? Do you really believe
I'm telling
this?
the truth.
Look, there you go. Look, amazing. Are you acting? Is this a performance? You really believe this? It's just a condescending as hell. You're so wrong that I think you must be putting on a performance. Are you trolling me now? You know, this is obviously so wrong. This has got to be an act. And I'll put a bet on she said that thousands of times in her life, because it works. It works as a way of distracting from the concrete examples that he gave her. You've nailed it, JD. Absolutely perfect. She's the performer. She has. I can't actually remember any content she's come out with. Mousecap says she's worn a shirt like that so that when you look at it trying to work out, she can say, stop looking at my tits. Historical doppelganger says a great many Chinese were trickled and sold into indentured servitude. Yeah, they weren't. The Chinese immigrants weren't even allowed to work. So what did they do? Work for lower wages, and are now earning the most money. If you look at it from the median household earnings. But he's been lied to and he's acting.
There's no systemic racism that I've experienced here in America. What system is racist?
That face, look, he hasn't experienced any systemic racism. He said that to her. And that is crushing to her, because her whole life is about maintaining that idea. Maintaining it, spreading it, indoctrinating it. Like I said, for her, this whole thing is propaganda. And when she hears a young man say that he's not experienced systemic racism, that face she's pulling there is a cover of her actually thinking, we're failing, we're losing this battle. We're losing this battle. This radical black power battle, we're losing it. And she's covered it up with that sort of polite smile. You know, when do you see that? When does someone look at you like that? That's sort of like, that's when you're like 10 pints down and you go up to the hottest bird in the bar and go, look, I just wondered if you fancy coming around my house. There's no carpet and it's a bit cold. And they just sort of look at you as if, somewhere in there's a nice lad, but at the moment it's a hard no from me.
I think the only racism we've actually seen recently, systemic racism that we've seen, is the application of systemic racism against white people. The University.
Boom! And that is the biggest bomb you can drop to a woman like this. A young man has just said that to her. That is hell to her. It's absolute hell. He's not getting flagged.
A black man just said it to her.
Yeah.
Because she can't go to her first response.
Yeah, incredible. He said two things he said that are just crushing to her. And again, because it's a belief system, it's her identity, it's who she considers herself. You know, you go up to some people and you say, who are you? I had this conversation with my missus the other day. I said, tell me 3 things you like about yourself. It's an interesting conversation to have with someone who's close to you, like best mate, lover, you know, whoever. And then I said, now give me 3 things you don't like about yourself. And then I'd done the same back to her. And because you haven't built yourself up because you don't maintain a belief system as your identity. This is why I was watching Charlie Kirk earlier. Charlie Kirk, whatever you think of him, he remains very calm, very unemotional. He puts forward arguments. He listens to people. They're all nuts. Everyone who talks to me, they're like, because they don't see him as someone with an opposing view to them. They don't see him as someone even with an opposing political view to them. They see them, they see him as evil, as the devil. They see him, because they have to. And they see him as a direct threat to them because he is. Because their identity is so bound up with their political beliefs. There's nothing outside of it. There's nothing exterior to it. That's who they are. And so when you challenge their political position, you challenge the very heart of who they are. And that makes you weak. That doesn't make you politically strong. It makes you politically weak. You don't want people like that fighting for your cause. So let's see where she goes. I just want to watch him drop that bomb again. Now, where is she going to? Well, she's already said that he's been lied to. She's already emasculated him. So this will be very interesting.
Actually seen recently, systemic racism that we've seen is the application of systemic racism against white people. The University of Western Washington, for example, has been trying to segregate dormitories, using black-only dormitories because black people feel safer amongst each other. But they're more likely to kill each other than white people are ever to kill them. Right,
it's very subtle, but check it out. Check it. I haven't noticed her do this before. This. She's done this before, this sort of holding her head, because it's I'm relaxing. But
coffee,
you don't.
Chris. Sorry, but there's coffee coming.
No worries, nice one, Picard. It can sometimes be a bit delayed. Dottie, nice one, Dottie. She says this stream has oozed body language. I've loved this. Thank you, Chris. Oh, thank you, young Dottie. You can thank John Palmer, Dottie, because it was John who said he wanted more streams like this. So that's very kind of you, Dottie. Hoyt. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So she's got this I'm relaxed face, which isn't, because she's frowning. Her glabella in the middle looks like it's trying to eat itself. But I haven't noticed before. Maybe I wasn't looking for it, but I think I would have noticed it. Watch her breathing. Watch her shoulders. You know, earlier when I said if you're in an argument and you're feeling yourself getting emotional, just say, hang on a minute, mate, and then take some breaths. Don't hide it, call it. Hang on a minute, mate, I'm getting emotional and I'm not good at talking when I'm emotional. Well, she can't do that. That is, she's not, because of the way she works, she can't allow herself that. But she's doing it on the sly. Now, again, I'd have to go back earlier, but I am looking for baselines all the time, and I think I would have seen it. Watch her. I think you'll see 3 of them. And then when it goes to this back shot here, you see a couple more. I'll take it back a little bit. I don't know where I am. Maybe, well, if I haven't got it into the right place, I'll show you again. She's fuming. She's absolutely fuming. She cannot believe that one of her kin has said he's not experienced systemic racism. He hasn't experienced it. That's the last thing she ever wants to hear from a black person. Oh, actually, there's one more thing that she doesn't want to hear more. And it's the next thing he said. Actually, what I have witnessed is systemic racism against white people. So she's now having to control herself. She just wants to tell him to foxtrot Oscar. That's what she really wants to do. You idiot. Fuck off. Go on. Okay? Fuck off. You're not on our side. You shouldn't say that. That doesn't help us. That doesn't help our clan. But she can't, because it would expose her. But you can't hide these things. Watch her shoulders. It's subtle, but I haven't seen it before. So her baseline has changed, and she's having to control herself. And that I told you earlier, that's how you control yourself. You take breaths. Now, she can't go, because it'll be too obvious, but you can still see it. Check it.
experience here in America. What system is racist? I think the only racism we've actually seen recently, systemic racism that we've seen, is the application of systemic racism against white people. The University of Western Washington, for example, has been trying to segregate dormitories, using black-only dormitories because black people feel safer amongst each other. But they're more likely to kill each other than white people are ever to kill them. That's just the truth.
He's done an amazing job of not letting all her tricks so far. I mean, we've only seen a couple, but he's actually just let them fly over him. So that's good. I don't know whether it's because he's very confident or whether he knows about her techniques and tricks, but he's absolutely he's rotted her there. Look, he's smiling. He's maintaining direct eye contact. She can't do that. She's looking up. She's doing this. This is a power move. It's a power pose. You know, you sometimes see people like that. They'll do that down by their bollocks or their vaginas. And you see them do that. And she's doing that, you know. She's praying. Look, she's looking up and she's praying. But what she's actually doing is trying to assert power. She's looking above him. And that, but again, it gives the game away because although she's exposing her neck, she's also protecting it. Her hands are right there, so it's like a combination of the two. Because you can't always get away with these things. You will be exposed, especially when it's a belief system.
You have King Von rapping about killing other black men. Why should I think that the white man is the oppressor?
Shifting in her seat.
You have King Von rapping about killing other black men. Why should I think that the white man is the oppressor?
Amazing. We haven't seen any of that from her. That's amazing.
Black men are more likely to kill me.
Oh my
Tell
God.
me.
Laughing, looking away.
This is scary. You need to think about me as your mama. Do not talk to me in that fashion.
Oh my God. I can't believe I just heard that. And listen, people, I haven't seen anywhere near up to this far before. That's mind blowing. This show has gone viral, and most people are saying that she wiped the floor with them. You know, of course they are, because that's what the legacy media needs to do. They can't say that a black activist, you know, had her ass wiped by a load of conservatives. They just can't, you know, because it goes against everything else they've said. They'd be supporting the sort of thing he said. But now, weirdly, she's now flirting with him. She wants him back on side. And that was an incredible thing to say. Did she say you've got to talk to me like your mama? I can't remember whether she said you've got to or not, but that's fucking amazing. So check out the squirming in the seat. So we knew it was going to be big because she was squirming, she was praying, she was opening her neck up, but she had a power move. And then it had to be big. It had to be. It didn't really have to be anything but explosive. It had to be explosive. Yep, great point, Sheila. When she was looking up and she had her hands there. But when she started wiggling in her seat, she thought, I've got to drop a bomb here. And it doesn't really matter what, but it's something explosive. And I think she says, you've got to talk to me like your mama. I think that's what she said. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but I'm going to base my little analysis on that, assuming she did say that, because it might be slightly different, but the outcome is the same. What she's saying is, with that comment, she's saying, they've lied to you. Look up to me. I'm here to protect you. So all those liars, they've made you weak. They've made you a target. But you need to now see me as your mum, because the mother protects. The archetype is anyway. They also do a hell of a lot of damage, but that's the archetype. And she's telling him that. And he smiles. His face lights up when she says that, because this famous writer, artist, filmmaker, poet, comedian has just invited him into her symbolic womb. It's disgusting. And he's like, you know, if someone said that to me, I'd be like, no, I'll talk to you as an equal, but whatever ridiculous comment you just made, you know, we're not having this isn't a competition on who can be the most surreal, but he doesn't. He buys it. Now, he might snap out of it. He did before, but watch his response when she drops that bizarre bomb.
Ever to kill them. That's just the truth. You have King Von rapping about killing other black men. Why should I think that the white man is the oppressor when black men are more likely to kill me?
Oh my God, this is scary. You need to think about me as your mama. Do not talk to me in that fashion. So let's check that now.
Okay.
Wow. But look at his face. You need to think of me as your mama. Do not talk to me in that fashion. I can't remember what she said. Let's draw that line now. Does that sound like a debate to you? Does that sound like she's questioned what he said to her about black on black violence and all the other things he said? No, she's just disregarded all of that. And she's told him, I think he said okay at the end there. She said no.
She might be about to plead the fifth, is it? She might suddenly have the right to remain silent if he keeps talking.
Yeah. But I think he says yes. I will watch it again, but you've got to talk to me like I'm your mother. Don't speak to me in that fashion, and we've got to draw that line. And if he does say yes, like I think he does, that's how good she is at this. And again, he might be able to snap himself out of it. Let's hope he does. But just check it.
You need to think about me as your mama. Do not talk to me in that fashion. So let's check that now. Okay.
Okay. What? Look at his face. Like he loves it. Like he loves it. Me and her could be friends. Look, she's laughing. She's smiling. She wants me. I've got to talk to her as a mother. I wonder what his relationship with his mother was like. That would be interesting, because he's just bought this hook, line, and sinker. Look how happy he is. That's the face of someone who the bird in the booze has just said yes to. That's the opposite of the other fella. Look, he's over the moon. Mate, she's just disregarded everything you've said, told you to get in line, wind your neck in and shut up. And you said, okay, and you look like you're coming. Wow.
So on a basic level, we have to understand the systemic.
Yeah, right. Basic level again. On a basic level, she said that earlier. Is there any basic levels in these conversations? Maybe. I don't think so, though.
Racism is grounded in the realities that Black people have not been considered an equal human being in this country since its onset.
Well, you've said that before, but you haven't actually explained how and why. You can't just put forward these claims and not explain how and why. That's just a claim. It's not an intelligent debate. You obviously make claims in debates, but then you have to explain it. Not just move on to the next claim, which I'm almost certain she's going to do.
So there's simply no way to make the argument that there isn't systemic racism.
Next claim, just another claim. I mean, it's just fascinating. Just another claim. So there's simply no way, because she made a claim with nothing to back it up, no evidence, nothing, no debunking of his arguments, nothing. She didn't even engage with it. She told him to speak to him like her mother. He had an orgasm, and then she just said, "We have been systemically. There has been systemic racism against us." And then another claim, and there'll probably be another one now.
And we have seen in very clear ways the system operate in an organically.
Well, give me some examples. Tell me exactly what you're talking about. Be specific, because he was, and it looks like he snapped out of it, actually. Fair play to him.
Racist way. Do not cut me off.
Do not cut me off. He hadn't.
When we talk about systemic racism, we can start with even the fact that redlining, which was implemented to discriminate Black communities.
Oh, have you got any black and white photos of that? Because, you know, it is it was quite some time ago. I mean, come on.
Communities, are you shaking your head that redlining doesn't exist?
No, I'm saying I don't think it really existed at all. I mean, no, I don't think so at all.
So it does exist, and stating that it doesn't exist doesn't make it no longer exist.
Oh, and stating that it does also doesn't mean that it does. Do you understand? This works both ways. Ridiculous, huh? And look, and this woman is like one of the queens of this movement. And she's just said a very basic fact, but what she's for reasons I can't even get my head around, she doesn't seem to understand that applies to her as well.
Redlining absolutely exists. It is not a.
Wait, do you know, love, that poor people can't move into expensive neighborhoods? Do you know that? It's weird.
It is not something that's being made up. It's an empirical fact. And there are realities that exist because of redlining. We know that school systems are related to the way that property taxes are affecting the school systems. If a school system is not getting the same property value as the property taxes allow it, then it's not going to have the same efficacy at allowing for students to be able to get what they deserve. When we talk about systemic racism, we have to acknowledge that these private prisons are literally built.
These private prisons. These private prisons that the taxpayer has paid for so that you can have shelter and food. Private prisons, well, I'm sure you can just leave if you want. Go and generate some wealth. Go and generate some wealth. If you don't like living there, I know plenty of people who've lived in the most hideous conditions. They've done something about it.
Based on the test scores of school students in 3rd grade. So if you are literally building prisons with the onset of, okay, if these people are not reaching a certain reading level, then we know that they're going to go down a prison industrial pipeline where we can use their free labor. Then how?
But all she's saying, again, there's no connection from one claim to the next, which again is very clever because it assumes there is. Because of the framing of this woman, because she's published books, because she had her own TV series, because she's paid a fortune to go and lecture, that's the framing of her. So she doesn't need to join the dots. Well, you know, there's two sayings there's two idioms in English that I love, and it's the first one is it goes without saying, and the second one is it speaks for itself. And whenever you get the feeling that someone is implying that something goes without saying or implying it speaks for itself, falsify it. Why does it? How does it? She's just stringing together claims. And because of the framing of her as a person, because she's in the middle of the room, she's the expert. You know, these are just students, they're kids, and they are, in fairness, they are. She is more experienced than them, but that doesn't mean she's necessarily right more than them, not at all. But all that framing is part of how she gets away. If one of those kids come up and just put a lot of claims together, it would sound ridiculous. But she can do all that because there's an assumption, because of the framing, that were we to give her time to explain, she could, because otherwise she wouldn't be in the position she's in, because we trust culture to be a meritocracy. People aren't artificially elevated. That doesn't happen. People aren't raised artificially for political reasons. No, that doesn't happen. Of course it doesn't.
How is that not systemic? And if you want to
stop them from entering prisons.
How are you going to stop people from entering prisons if your goal is?
How are you going to stop people entering prison? I mean, asking that question, I can think of an answer, in fairness.
Your goal is to get them into prison.
Sure, make them try.
Okay, so she thinks that she actually believes that the state is that racist, is racist at all, that the education system is putting black people through an educational process which includes this bloke she's talking to. He's a student. He's been to school. That system is there to have him incarcerated. He seems like an intelligent bloke. But she's telling him that. She's telling him that. The education, this is her comeback. The education system is like a prison manufacturing faculty. Wow. And can you understand that when you've got people teaching their kids this, can you understand the hatred? Can you understand the hatred that must put in those children's minds from very early on? The white man, whiteness, the government, they want you to go to prison. Your education, the reason you can't read isn't because you didn't try, it's because they don't want you to read. It's because they want you to go get so hungry for crack that you go out and commit crimes and end up getting locked up. Imagine the awful amount of hatred that just spreads throughout America. And I'll tell you now, hatred at that level, that doesn't end well. It doesn't even start well.
To be more like Ben Carson than be like King Von. That's very, very simple.
So
Ben
how does King Von happen? How does King Von happen?
King Von
reparations.
Hold on,
actually, no. Let me land the plane.
Yeah.
We're talking about reparations, and what you're doing is actually just trying to get this conversation off the.
Now she's just drawing him away from his, from the points that he as an individual actually debunks. So because he's actually approaching truth, she's taking it back to an area where she holds the land, so to speak.
Fact, and the fact is, reparations are just and necessary because on
amazingly, her emotions are getting the better of her, which is excellent. We've not seen this from her since. It started with her moving in her chair because she saw that her movement is failing. When a young black man says he's not experienced racism, but he has experienced systemic racism against whites, that was the start. And it's just, she took her breaths, she tried to control it, but she's gone. She's just screaming at him.
Off the facts. And
Ben
the fact
Carson's,
is,
look at these are called indicators, right? When you start doing this, they're called indicators. But you can often see that they're an attempt to get that adrenaline out when they're not in time with the points being made. Now, I'm not saying she's doing that. We'll have a look. But like if you've got all that pent up aggression, anger, emotion, you've got to do something with it. We all know someone who like taps their leg, don't we? Have you seen them? There's probably some people here who do it. They just sit there, in public. One of their legs is like going 10 to the dozen because they're scared. They're scared of the situation. And so that inside them, that energy, they're getting it out somehow. They're trying to get that fear out. And now she's all over the place with all her hand gestures and and these indicators.
Reparations, and what you're doing is actually just trying to get this conversation off the facts. And the fact is, reparations are just and necessary because on a basic level, black people built this country. How many? Really? The country continues to thrive off of the labor.
Like he laughed then. He laughed because he watching as well. He knows that that's ridiculous.
Black people built this country, and the country continues to thrive.
He laughed at that. He knows that the maths don't even add up for that.
Off of the labor that black people put into this country. And it would behoove you, young man, to really understand the way that your ancestors put blood, sweat, and tears in.
Yeah, now the guilt trip. It would behoove you, young man, you arrogant, spoiled, little truth-telling shit, to think about the blood, sweat, and tears of your ancestors. That's just guilt tripping. That's awful. It's an awful thing to do and say to someone. She could say, you know, have you thought about what your ancestors went through? Have you ever considered that? And that's how you have a conversation. She doesn't want that conversation. She wants to put him in his place.
To really understand the way that your ancestors put blood, sweat, and tears into this nation that is still living off of those blood, sweat, and tears. And let me also add, there are reparations and then there is remunerations. Do you know the difference?
Yes, but can I finish one point that I wanted to say?
Question.
Ben Carson.
Yeah, amazing. No, but can I finish my point? And she's like, no. She needs to maintain the conch, so to speak, alluding to Lord of the Flies there. She can't let him talk because he's got her. He's got her. His, you know, they always talk about their lived experience. Well, his lived experience doesn't match up with her belief system.
And then there is remunerations. Do you know the difference?
Yes, but can I finish?
Yes, it's amazing. Look at her face. Look at her fucking frown. She's so angry.
Finish one point that I wanted to say. Ben Carson's cousins were killed at a very young.
I'm so sorry. You've been voted out by the majority.
No, they should have left him there. He's been the best person so far. All right, people, that is 2 hours and 20 minutes. It is gone 2 in the morning. I've got some writing to do. I've got to throw a load of writing away. I'll put the link. I tell you what, that I'm going to watch the rest of that because it's just mind blowing. But if you're interested, watch it because she is argumentative technique personified. And if you can learn those tricks, if you can learn, and if you can learn to observe them, if you can learn to see them coming, if you can learn to see them happening, you can learn to keep your cool, and you can learn to find truth. And that is how you make arguments work in our favor. And that's how revolutions happen. You know, it only takes about 9% of a population to start spreading ideas for those ideas to take over. And if you have got real intentions of saving England or the UK or Europe, you have to do that. You know, when you have these conversations with leftists, you've got a responsibility. You know, I hear plenty of people saying, "Oh, I'm going to stay here and fight on the streets." That ain't happening. You'll be shot dead. You know, you'll be put in prison as soon as you ring up your mate and go, "Have you got a pickaxe handle I can borrow?" This is happening through media and propaganda, through words. And you can learn a lot from these people because they all do it. You know, she is that turned up to about 20. I'll put the link in the chat. I want to thank the people who donated. It's been terribly poor donations working my Friday night. I do appreciate the people who did, though. Really appreciate. I appreciate you all. I mean, that isn't easy to watch. You know, I know that was quite heavy going. You know, I get that. But remember these things. 90% of communication is non-verbal. So you might be able to go to your mates, listen, this has happened in England, this has happened in England, this has happened in England. And it's just not getting through to them. And if you believe you've got a role to play in the country you love, then you need to sharpen your weapons. You need to sharpen your weapons. Oh, did I just see Glass in the chat? Glass, you didn't get a shout out because I actually put a real description. That's why I didn't. It's not just AI. Sorry, love. Maybe I'll send you an email. Or should I say a me-mail? Or should I say something even worse? I'll put a link in the description, but you can find it anyway. You just type in Jubilee and it's one of their most recent ones. But trust me, people, that video has gone viral. and most people are saying that she absolutely cleaned the floor with them. And when you watch it, but really watch it, you know, don't get caught up in a web of intentional deceit and distraction. You'll learn a lot about how to maintain conversations with people and potentially change their minds. And that's what needs to happen. You know, we often talk about, oh, England's waking up, or the UK's waking up, Europe's waking up. How has that happened? It's happened because people have had conversations. And even not, it's not even about when you're conversing with political opponents, but also neutrals. You know, if you get all emotional and all shouty with a neutral, you're going to do more damage than good. You know, you want to talk, again, don't try and win an argument with them. Try and show them the truth. And you do that by a consistent, non-emotional search for truth. And you can bring them into it. You can actually bring them into it. You start asking them questions that guide them to the same truth that you're looking for. And don't presuppose the truth in advance, because then you're lying to them. Then you're sort of, that's Machiavellianism. I mean, she is the dark triad made human. She is manipulative, she is narcissistic, and she is psychopathic. And any psychologist will tell you these people are dangerous. You know, if overnight we could get rid of everyone who has that dark triad, look it up. Read about the dark triad: narcissism, psychopathy, Machiavellianism, or you could also call it manipulation. They're dangerous, and these are the people that end up leading movements. And why wouldn't they? They got the narcissism to go to the top of the tree. They've got the ability to manipulate, to get the funding, to get people to get people to look after them, to get people to elevate them, and they've got the psychopathy to know they're lying, but still pretend it's real. And that is what psychopathy is in that context. You know, she knows what he said is true, but rather than deal with it, just start telling him to treat her like his mother. Let's draw that line there. And he went, oh, all right. You have just witnessed a few people getting absolutely schooled by a woman who's not actually that bright. I'd say those students, nearly all of them, are probably more intelligent than her. But when you've got the ability to manipulate, when you've got the need, narcissism, this is what we've all got a bit of narcissism in us, but narcissism is getting your needs met by others with no regard for them. Like we all, you know, I get needs met by my missus, I get needs met by my friends, but with regard for them. But a narcissist, someone who actually ticks the boxes, they don't give a shit. They will rinse you and drain you for everything you've got to make them feel better, make them feel good. And then they'll just abandon you like a fucking wank rag. They'll just chuck you in the bin like a sticky old sock. Dangerous people. Let's have a look at some comments. I'll have a look at some recent ones. Toffee says gay bungalows. Michael says, shall I make my point while wearing a clown mask? In a way.
He can live wherever he wants. I don't mind. I don't care, really. I don't know why he's brought it up.
Dottie, it's not sweet. It's very, very sordid. Very sordid. There is a sweet element to it, but it's not the majority of the hit. There you go. It helps, but you also need to be able to deliver them without your emotions devastating your own facts. and leftists know how to press your buttons. Not just because they like doing it, but because they have to do it, because they don't have the arguments, because reality doesn't play ball with their ideas. Dave's on next, people. Hello, Steve Cray. How are you, son? I didn't know you were here. I haven't really been looking at the chat, to be honest with you, people. I've been trying to keep my head together and explain all that. What am I going to do now? I'm going to go over there. I'll tell you what we'll do. Give me a couple of seconds, people. What do you make of today's stream, Packer? What do you make of all that stuff?
I didn't think I was going to like that anywhere near as much as I did, because there's nothing I hate more than listening to a lefty drone on. But she just made stupid arguments where she talked in circles.
But did you see what I was saying though? I wouldn't expect to see all of it, but did you notice?
Well, no, when you sit there and point it out, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, always it makes me think of people like Pacman.
Like who?
David Pacman.
Great
Jimmy's
call.
mate.
Great call. Yeah, I know Jimmy's mate. Yeah, no, that's a great call. See, the thing is, as humans, we're very good at spotting these things. But that's why leftists will tend to talk really fast. They don't give you time to process things that we have learned over thousands of years. Well, the evolution of the species. You know, like, what's his name? You know, people who can adapt the quickest, they're the ones that survive. That's why if you watch Charlie Kirk videos, all the leftists, Charlie Darwin, they always speak really fast because your natural ability to read what they're trying to do, we've all got it. But unless you practice it, and you're going to miss it because they're like, boom, boom, boom. You watch Charlie Kirk, those leftists just screaming at him, like really, really fast. And it's like, it happens too many times to be an accident. They've learned to argue in that way. Because when they haven't done that, when someone has actually said to them, well, hang on a minute, well, let's just hold it down a bit. And then question something and actually add some kind of Socratic dialogue with them, that's when they've come unstuck. And again, because it's their belief system, it's made them, they don't like it. They go home and cry. So almost unconsciously, but not always, I ain't doing that again. I'm not going to have that happen again. I'm just going to keep shouting at people and then rage quitting. Tell them not to interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. What? You get to speak for as long as you want. Is that how this works? Is that no? That's not. There's actually a social contract in a debate, because you might say something at a certain point that has contradicted what you said a couple of minutes ago, and I want to jump on that while it's still relevant. And so you can without a doubt you can interrupt people, but there's a contract there where it's you use it sparingly. And you also take it yourself. That's a great call, Toffee. Tucker Carlson's a master of it. Toffee says, Tucker Carlson is quite good at it. He plays them at their own game and pulls that patronising, fake, confused face at them. Yeah, there's someone else who's an absolute master. I mean, I think Andrew Gold's pretty good at it as well, I've got to say. But there's someone who's an absolute master. I can't think who it is off the top of my head. Who just said that? Blogs. Yeah. Sev for all times as well, which suggests to me, considering there's another hour and a half of that video, that's her thing. Because she is that. She's She's Mother Nature. She's the godmother of the black community. That's how she sees herself. She said it. All-Seeing Otto says, why waste time and energy arguing or debating with them at all? They are self-loathing traitors. I've heard all their bullshit. Because you might be able to change their minds.
It's not their mind, it's the people that listen to them. It's their
I used to be a communist, and thankfully I was challenged on it frequently. So that might be a reason why. You know, if no one challenges them, they gain power. That's exactly what happened under Blair. And that's what they're trying to do now. That's what the legacy media is about. The legacy media is about not challenging the leftist orthodoxy. So if no one does, good luck. It's the very, very sad and destructive direction that Europe's going in is going to continue to go in that direction. It seems like a silly question, really. Why debate people? Why talk to people? I don't know. I thought that would have been kind of obvious, but right. I was looking for something. Let me find it. Not that. That's the one.
The intro was good, by the way. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Well, it's going to be a very much... Not yet. Parker, I'll see you in a bit. I'll let you go. I'll see you in a bit, though, yeah, after. Ta-ra, mate. Show Packer some love in the chat, people. He does this, and I love it. And I can't do it without him anymore. Look how good he's made the stream. It's so much better with him. And look all this effort he's made me go to. I might even put a t-shirt on next time. Imagine. Right, I will be putting your comments on the screen. And I've got a bit of music that might bring back a few memories, a little bit of nostalgia for you. We started with a bit of Bally G, and we're going to end with a bit of Bally G. Thank you to everyone who donated. Thank you to Packer, of course, and thank you to all of you lot who hung around. It is hard work watching people like that. I won't be streaming tomorrow. I might do one Sunday. Depends how much writing I get done. I'll be putting your messages on the screen while the music plays. This is Bally G with Deep Water. Remember this one? Proper COVID vibes on this. Let me see if I can get rid of my silly head. Hang on. Yeah, ta-da.
Everyone knows I'm gonna be the first man down. All my friends are sick of having me around. Nobody wants to give a buddy one last break. Can't go on and taking all a man can take. Life is a curse, it only gets worse, and the world don't watch you drown. Maybe my mind will fail to ever find the point. I'm going deep, deep down underwater. Gonna make my grave underneath the wave. I'm going deep, deep down underwater. Gonna lay my head on the riverbed. Looking back, I rejected every place I stayed. A woman says I'm lying in the bed I've made. She says warriors don't give up before the war begins. So I get high to justify the mess I'm in. People get mad and people get sad, but at least they have a cause. I struggle to feel emotion I can really trust. I'm going deep, deep down underwater. Gonna make my grave underneath the wave. I'm going deep, deep down underwater. Gonna lay my head on the riverbed.
Nice one, Albert. Much appreciated.
Deep down underwater, gonna make my grave underneath the wave. I'm going deep, deep down underwater. Gonna lay my head on the riverbed. I'm going deep, deep down underwater. Gonna make my grave underneath the wave. I'm going deep, deep.
Have you read that book yet, Bill? War and Cinema. Someone asked, I think it's our new member, your indie news. What's my background? Here's the problem with me telling you that now. Everyone else in this chat knows and has heard it many times. Thank you, Packer. That's very kind of you. Cheers, brother. I'll give you a very quick one. Working class boy, went off to art school, done 5 years at art school, then 2 years master's degree, got on the smack, published a book, stayed on smack, set up a business, moved to Cambodia, started doing YouTube about 10 years ago. I don't know. Go and watch some of the old videos. Go and watch one called The Crack Gnome Story. That'll give you a little bit of an introduction. Listen, people, bless you all. Look after yourselves. I'm absolutely whacked. I will probably see you Sunday. Take care.